Hey, you're listening to the Give Back Podcast, a weekly podcast hosted by Give Something Back coaches, staff, alumni, and current students. Our mission is to support students from all backgrounds through the college journey. This season, we're focused on helping you thrive during your first semester at college, from your first day on campus all the way to winter break. This week's episode is called First Steps. In this episode, we'll talk about how to have a strong start in your classes, how to connect with important people and resources on campus, and even how to set yourself up socially with a new group of friends. As always, if you have any questions, give us a shout on Instagram, Facebook, or by email. Here's a list of time-coded sections for episode 1. Please feel free to jump around if you'd like, or you can listen all the way through. Enjoy!
I'm Lydia Matlock, and I work for Give Back. I'm the Chief of Program Operations for our national, and been here about 7 years, and I'm excited for this. I feel like this is information that we've tried to give to students individually, so to be able to potentially put this out on a larger scale is going to be really good for us all and for our students out there. Yeah.
So hi, I'm Amada Morris. I've been with Give Back for I think 2 months now. Before that, I was running a nonprofit called Families to College. So I've been mentoring students for a long time. My kind of ethos is like, I didn't go to college right at all. So I try to give my students the know-how of all these things that I missed. And that's what I'm excited about for this podcast, because we have so many things that, like even this first episode about that first month, that first week,
That transition.
it's critical. Even though that time passes so quickly, we're going to talk about those things that you can take advantage of in that first couple of weeks.
Hello, my name is Arthur Horn. I currently work at Rowan College of South Jersey, full-time professor in the business department, but I also teach social science classes, work with students, do some work with our state agency, HESA, around financial literacy and a bunch of other things that I currently do.
My name's Kelsey Novak. I'm the program director for Give Something Back of the Illinois office. I've been here a little over 4 years, but I have a background in higher education. So I've worked in financial aid and a little bit in admissions as well. So I think what I'm most excited about this is that throughout all of the episodes, there's going to be so many people that are coming in that are, subject matter experts in different areas, and being able to provide something to students, not only our Give Back students, but also students outside of Give Back, where it's just like a one-stop shop where they can come, they can listen, they can get information from people, and just be able to put all this out on a much larger scale is really exciting.
So for today's episode, we're talking about the transition, right? So when you get back to college, that first month of school, what that looks like. What do we wish we knew maybe when we go back in time to our first month of college, what we've learned working with our students over the last several years, and years that you've worked in financial literacy as well. So what makes the most sense, and how do we get our students to school, comfortable there, and moving successfully? So what would you all say is what do you wish you knew? I wish I didn't pack as much. You don't need everything in your whole house.
No, I disagree.
You do?
Yes,
you
I
think you need it
disagree.
all?
Yes. Well, now on campus, you don't.
Yeah.
When I was on campus, you did. We ain't have the 5-star of restaurants on campus. You had to have a care basket sent to you, or you wasn't eating, because the caf closed at a certain time. So nowadays, no, you're right. You don't have to have everything. But when I went, you better had everything, or you was gonna be hungry.
Yeah, I think one of the important things that I wish I knew was to kind of immediately get a meeting with my advisor.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll go to schedule a meeting with your advisor and you'll look at it and you're like, oh, they are all booked up until December. Yeah. So you really want to get on that early, because your advisor is just going to help you just so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, to be honest, like just walk the campus. It doesn't matter if you're at a tiny campus or a large campus, like take the time, walk the campus, get to know where you're at, get to know where your classes are, where your advisor's office is, because once you actually start and sitting down in classes and needing to be places and you're in meetings with other things or you're joining clubs, like you're not going to have the time to do that. So really just walk campus and take it in.
And you want to make sure that you have enough time to get in between all your classes. Like you need to figure that out quickly.
Yeah. I mean, some campuses are, it takes you 15 to 20 minutes to walk from one end to the other. And some is you can be in one building all day. So, you know, you're right. Getting to know if you need to take a bus or if you need to hop on your bike or you can walk it. Timing it out is important.
And
well,
luckily,
scheduling yourself, like for food, right? Like you need to eat, you need to be where you need to be at class on time. So scheduling yourself out for that first day.
Well, and I think too, like reading some of our first student essays on their first year on campus, a lot of them are like, I kind of forgot to eat.
Yeah, we get that all the time. Yeah.
Because they're like, no one told me I had to eat.
No one gave me
no one gave me like a lunchtime. No, there was no bell to say it's time for lunch.
Right.
Like, you know, that's a big thing. Like making sure that you schedule that into your day.
Yes.
Yeah, I was absolutely a victim of that.
Right.
Of the not eating.
Yeah.
Because all you're thinking about is getting to class. Like that was my thing. I went to Temple. I was in the city. So I had to go from one building all the way to the beginning of the campus, then all the way to the other end. And I'm not thinking about eating at all. Sometimes I'm eating one bagel a day.
Yeah.
And I'm getting home and I'm angry. I'm not really doing my work that well. Yes.
You're hangry.
Hangry.
Yes.
Is the term we like.
Yes.
You're just going to do so much better at everything. You're going to do better in your social skills. You're going to do better in your schoolwork if you're actually eating.
Yeah.
And to kind of second that, like, let's say you are on a meal plan. You're able to talk to a dietitian.
Yeah.
And they're going to give you a very well-designed kind of meal plan that's going to work for your needs, which I love. I think that's so important.
Well, I think college has so many things and so many opportunities that you don't know about right away. Like you really have to search those out. Like you wouldn't know there was a dietitian or a nutritionist on campus. You may not know that there's mental health services on campus, but there is. There's something for really anything that you could possibly want. And they're underused and they're underutilized. So they want students to come and use those services.
Well, and like you said, Arthur, too, like, you know, when you first went to college, you had to bring everything because you didn't have it. Now, like Lydia's saying, a lot of places have little grocery stores or places that you can stop in and just grab something if you want to make it in your microwave in your room or whatever. You know, there's more than just the cafeteria, a snack shop. Like there's a place that you can actually go and get items to take back with you.
Absolutely.
And I also think for students that's coming in for their first time, walking the campus, you know, getting familiar with the advisor center, but I think also just knowing who you are, right? So that going back to what you said, planning, right? Write down your schedule. Figure out what are you a morning person, afternoon person? Do you, late at night? Figure out your schedule. So that's going to help you plan for your day. And planning makes you a lot more successful, especially in the first 30 days.
Well, plus, if you're not a morning person, you don't have to have an 8 a.m. class.
Yes.
College is not about, you're not an 8 to 3-er like you were in high school, and I think that summer before college is really that start of the transition, right? Like, you're not a morning person. Maybe you want night classes. You really need to determine that when you're setting that first schedule.
Well, and Arthur, how would you, for people who may lack some of those abilities to put together like a schedule or a timeline of their day, like what would be some things that you would recommend for students to do?
One, get a piece of paper and pencil, right? This don't have to be high tech right now. Get a piece of paper and pencil. Look at your schedule. If you already know your schedule, you should know it, let's say, within a couple weeks outside of starting school. Even if you're returning and you made it through, but you want to do better, right? Figure out, here's my classes. And we already had a discussion about not eating. Write that into your schedule.
Yes.
I'm going to eat around 11 to 12, right? Because if you put it on paper, it starts to sink in how you operate throughout your day instead of just keeping everything in your head. So one of the things I recommend to students is do a brain dump. That's why you make the schedule. Because you got all these things in your head. We talked about it, right? You got the radio on, you got the games going, you got all this stuff in your head, and then life is going on at the same time. So one of the things is write it out, see it. Because once you write it, that's almost like your GPS. And when things come up and you need to make changes, you can make changes. Because another thing besides the advisor, I say also look at your classes. You know if you're good in math or good in science or not that good in English or whatever. Get to the tutoring center in your first 2 to 3 weeks, because you want to get a tutor early. Because if you wait the mid-semester, they're gone.
The good ones.
The good one. But even if you get the good one, it might not fit your schedule later on in the semester. So now you're struggling even more. So in the first 30 days, look at your schedule. I don't care if you like, all right, the work is easy. You know at a certain point it's going to increase. Get that tutor early. Put it in your schedule. So now you're starting to build a schedule with the tutor, the advisor, and those type of things that's going to help you build out your semester schedule.
Yeah, and there's no reason to go about it alone.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think sometimes it's like, well, I'm entering adulthood, so I'm going to rely on myself, right? But there are people who have been through this entire process that are there for you, and you are worth that. Like, it's just so important. Like, when you miss out on those things, you are in the dark, trying to find your way forward.
I know a lot of colleges in Illinois, and I'll talk specifically about that, but a lot of colleges in Illinois have invested a lot of money into like first year success coaches in addition to an academic advisor. So, and those coaches are there on campus to support you in more than just an academic way. You know, again, helping with scheduling, helping with understanding where things are on campus. And I know a lot of our college students have really relied on those people in addition to the give back staff that they're working with. But, you know, that's a huge investment that a lot of campuses have put up, you know.
And that's across the country. I've seen it in New York a lot, Jersey, all the way through the Midwest, even into the West Coast. So I think schools are realizing that there's no sense in enrolling a student that's going to drop out, right? So we want them to graduate. They want them to graduate. They want to increase their graduation rates, and the only way to do that is to get them a super good start. And that's what we're talking about today. Like, how do you start on the right hand so that you don't lose, right? And so I think that summer before school is a really important piece, that transitional summer. So like, what are some things you would suggest students do during that summer to get them ready, prepared?
Visit the campus.
Yeah, for sure.
Visit the campus, walk around, get to know the fun spots.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get coffee?
Right.
Because that's going to be your staple.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get breakfast? How long, like we said, how long does it take to walk to class to class?
Right.
And my other recommendation would be, if you really don't feel like you know what you're doing, take a freshman orientation class.
That's a big deal, because that's where you find the people that are going to help you.
Yeah.
Go to your orientation class.
And you're going to meet friends too.
You're going to meet friends,
Yeah.
but you're going to meet that academic advisor, those first year like seminar students that are going to help. You're going to meet your financial people. Like, you need to go to orientation. It's sometimes it's not mandatory, but you should go.
I would say during summer too, like, you get your if you're living on campus, you're getting your roommate assignment. If you don't know that person, like, reach out to them. There's so many different ways to get in contact with kids nowadays. Social media, just through text messages, but get to know that person, because you will be spending time with them.
Yeah.
And then the two of you together can, you know, figure out how to navigate. You know, that's going to be your person that you'll be with for that first, you know, half of the semester. So the two of you can navigate together.
Well, and even if you don't love that person, right? Like, even if you know they're not going to be in your wedding in 10 years, they're the person you can go eat lunch with that first week until you make friends. Or like, they're the person that you're going to go to like a club, you know, a club meeting to meet other new people. They're your person for a while. And so just allow that to happen.
That's the first person you meet on campus, essentially. So
and
you're going to be walking
they sleep
campus
in your
together.
room.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should probably make friends with them in some way, shape, or form.
And then you have your RA,
Yes.
resident assistant,
Yeah.
RC, residential counselor. So there's some other resources that you have, you know, for your first couple weeks. And the biggest thing in class that I also recommend is, I am not an extrovert. Most people think I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert. And a lot of students go in the classroom and you're intimidated by your professors because they say they're a doctor, whoever, or they're a professor. Don't be intimidated. Set up appointments to see them in their office. That's where you get the most bang for your buck in higher ed. You will get stuff out of class, but the real learning comes when you can connect with your professors on a one-on-one or small group settings. So don't be afraid to engage with them.
Yeah, I actually have a statistic. 30% of students do not know what their professor wants out of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a pretty big number for if you're in a large class, you might feel dismissed or ignored.
Yes.
Professors do something called office hours, right? Where they will usually put on their syllabus, and their syllabus, if you don't know, it's basically your entire schedule of your class. And this is so important, like print this out.
Yes.
They're usually going to be posted on whatever, like wherever they're posting your assignments, they're usually going to put them on there too. So print those out, and on their syllabus, it's usually going to say their office hours. You can schedule that appointment, or you can just walk in, depending on how busy that professor is, right?
Yeah.
But it is really important to have that communication with them, because it also lets you get to know the professor as well as let them know you. So you're going to have a little bit of a better expectation. Like, how serious does my work need to be? Is this more casual, or is this really formal?
Yes,
Do I need to present myself better, or do I need to kind of tone it back a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Your professors are so important because as you continue to grow through college, they're going to be the ones who help you find the right classes, the internships, job opportunities, resume building. Like, making friends with your professors is a big deal.
And recommendations.
Recommendations. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
You want to connect with them, and also library staff, right? Because at a certain point in time, you got research papers, you have, and let me just say this, stay away from AI, right? Because we on to AI now.
Yeah.
You can send a paper in, and I just had a discussion with a professor in science. All the papers that was coming in was AI. Colleges is about to change the way they deal with AI. And if you plagiarize, you could get suspended out of that particular school. It's going to go on your academic record, and that will travel with you whatever school you go to. Some schools just fail you for that particular class, but don't get caught up in using AI, especially, sometimes we have this group think, like, so everybody in the group doing it, so I might as well get aboard. At a certain point, it's group, and then it's individual, right? So if the group is going in a place that you really don't want to go, stay with the individual side so you don't get caught up in whatever that group is about to get caught up in.
Yeah, and let's be honest about AI. One, it is so obvious. I'm a writer. Like, I've received papers to look over that are very clearly AI. But I think the other side of it too is like, it's boring. You don't want to be boring. You want to stand out, because if you stand out, you're going to get those reference letters. You're going to impress your professor. We don't want to be boring. We don't. We want to stand out. And the only way you're going to stand out is by actually using your own voice. So I'm a big AI hater. Might use it for a few ideas for like an outline, which is fine,
that's
whatever.
Good. That's great. That's great.
But when it comes to actually putting it into your own thoughts, like, you really want that opinion of yours and that research of yours to stand out.
Yeah. So that's one pitfall, right? Like, AI is a pitfall. Group projects can be a pitfall. What other like obstacles or pitfalls do we see with our students in that first transitional piece? Homesickness is one I see a lot.
Homesickness is a big one. 70% of students feel homesick at least once.
70%.
70%.
That's a lot.
So I think, scheduling a time to, and this could even be done in the schedule you were talking about, right? Scheduling a time to, like, call your guardians, your sister, your brother, your cousins, whoever you're really missing, like, schedule that time. Because if you're living on campus and you only have your roommate, like, you might feel a little bit alone. So that would definitely be a recommendation.
But can I say something? And I'm saying this straight to you. Do not go home every weekend at college. Do not go home every weekend in college, especially that first semester. And I'll tell you why, is those kids really struggle with making friends, feeling connected on campus. A lot goes on in the weekends, and I'm not just talking about parties and stuff like that. I'm talking about activities campuses put on that are really fun. I mean, the whole point of college is to give you this experience of like an entire kind of community around you. And so you're going to have block parties and meals. And speaking of meals, like, you don't want to pay for everything when you go to college. There's so much free food, free coffee, free activities, but they're on campus. And you're going to miss out on those things if you go home every weekend. I know you probably have a significant other. They'll be all right.
They'll be fine.
I lived on free.
Yes,
right?
live on free.
I discovered that every club and organization having or department may have, like you said, an activity.
Right.
I went.
Yes.
I asked my friends, I'm like, yo, you want to go over here? Nah, we good. All right, cool. I went over there. My reasons was, to learn something new. I knew they had food.
Yeah.
And I knew that's where all the females, the women going to be.
There you go.
So, and I came back with food, and they like, where you get that from? Over there where I told you to go.
Right.
We literally just took our students on college tours this summer, and one of the campuses we were walking through, like past the cafeteria, and our tour guide, who was a student there as well, literally stopped us and was like, you want to get to know this space on campus because every week somebody, whether it's a club, one of the academic offices, there's always free food here. Donuts, popcorn, ice cream, like you name it. There's crafts, there's food, like this is the spot where it happens. So she took the time out of her day to like physically tell us where to find the free stuff.
That's good.
And I think that's huge.
It's huge. We have a school in Kansas that has an app, and like it's an app of what's going on campus and things like that. But also if there's leftovers, like so if your club catered Chipotle, there'll be like Chipotle in student affairs building room 2, and you just hightail it on over there, right? Like get yourself a bowl before it's gone. But they want you to come. That's what they have. No one orders free food for nobody to eat it, right? Like we want you to enjoy those things, and you don't have to have a job that first day on campus if you can't, right? Like, but there's so many opportunities to find work, to find money making opportunities on campus. But we also know not every kid walks in with a bank account full of cash. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to move around that to still be successful and to find fun things to do without a lot of extra money.
Yeah.
And that's where your team come in, right? Because
Yes.
if you got class and on the app it pops up free food, then somebody from the team go get some food.
Yeah, you call your roommate up.
Right? While you in class. So don't skip class to get the free food. That's not what we're saying. But have your team and everybody in position to help each other through this first semester and through your college experience.
So let's go back to day 1. So you've moved in. You've got your twin long sheets on your bed.
Twin extra long
sheets. You've got all that situated. What do you do? Like, what do you like? You don't have class that first day usually. You know what I mean? Like, so you're kind of there for 2 or 3 days by yourself. Your guardians walk away, leave you there, right? Like, what is that first thing that you would do to be successful? Like, to make sure that you're comfortable?
I think you just go out and like it was mentioned earlier, just walk the campus. Just go walk the campus, see what's going on, adjust yourself to a new environment, and that's going to help you start moving into the space that you need to be in.
Yeah, and I think like during that walk, like look for flyers that have anything to do with clubs. Join a club. Please join a club because you're going to meet so many people, but it's also kind of going back to that idea of where are you going to get your food, right? Mm-hmm. There's gonna always be a lot of food at these clubs.
And it's fun.
Yeah. There is any and every kind of club. And if you really don't see any flyers, your clubs are usually going to be listed on the school website.
Yep.
They're going to be listed under clubs and organizations.
And they have apps now. So many schools have apps. Yeah.
And there's a ton.
Or student services or whatever, students' activity, whatever that college call it, go to that office, right? Find out, what's going on. Student government, I know my freshman year, someone taught me into being a senator for my freshman class. So that started me into getting into the student government over my 4 years. So even doing something like that helps you with connection and growth.
How do you introduce yourself? I mean, that's a big deal, right? Like if you've never done that before, like it's so awkward to go up to somebody when you're on your walk. Hi, I'm Lydia. Nice to meet you. You're right. Like, I mean, how do you meet those people as you're wandering campus, like without looking like kind of a, kind
of crazy?
Yeah. Right?
Huh. I really met a lot of friends during that freshman orientation.
I agree. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal.
You're forced to sit in circles and do icebreaker games, first of all.
Which most people don't like,
most people
but they
hate,
are good.
But secretly
you're
they're
glad
pretty
they
good.
Happened. Yes.
And then what I ended up finding was like, okay, I kind of made friends during that freshman orientation, but then I had classes with them.
Yeah.
And then I was able to kind of
It's a
walk up to
friendly
them
face.
and like be like, hey, do you remember me? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course. And then you're able to start hanging out after that. But I always found it like when you're sitting next to somebody, just introduce yourself. Just the name. What are you doing? What are you majoring in?
That's a good
is
question.
a big conversation starter.
Yeah.
I just remember being in the dorms and obviously met my roommate. Her and I hit it off right away. And then just kind of walking the rest of the dorms down and getting to know the girls across the hall from me.
Yes.
You know,
Your
again,
floor.
yeah, like getting
Yeah.
to know like my floor and like the 5 or 6 people that are right next to me because we're all gonna have to share a bathroom and all that. So getting to know them, but you know, introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm from this area. You know, I'm studying this. You know, what made you think about coming to this school in particular? Like, why are you here? And just, you know, kind of getting to know them a little bit. And then I remember that first week, like there was movie nights in the entrance of our
Yes.
dorm room. I think we did like just, again, the RA at the time was like take us around campus to get to know each other a little bit better. A lot of icebreakers. I remember this weird spider, like you had to go up and over with ropes and like try to
Yes.
find your way out of a spider web. A lot of icebreakers and stuff like that. But I mean, I feel like I met a lot of people just in my dorm
Right.
without necessarily.
Which is good because you live with those people.
Right.
I mean, you know, those people you're coming.
Yeah.
You obviously have class with all different types, and if you join clubs or athletics or Greek life or whatever, you're going to meet a lot of people, but you still come home to that same place every night.
Yeah.
So you want to feel comfortable, same way you do at your home, right? Like where you normally live. You want to make sure that your dorm feels good. And are
Well,
there any tips on that? Like how do you
I
make
mean-
your dorm feel homey?
bringing things in that, you know,
Yes.
pictures of if you know, have a significant other at home, maybe bringing that in or bringing in things that you're
like a
comfortable.
dog picture.
Your dog picture, like stuff like that. But the other thing, and again, this is everyone's comfort level, like my roommate and I always left our door open.
Yeah.
When we were in our room because we were like, we want people to come in and see us and talk to us. And like, if we see somebody walking past, we'll be like, hey, what's up? You know, like our whole thing was like leaving the door open.
Right.
And I think that just,
It's welcoming.
it's welcoming. It made us comfortable and it made everyone else that was walking past our room comfortable too.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I think lighting is a
Yes.
big one.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised how, I guess, like how kind of complacent you might be able to get in kind of like states of depression if you're just in a dark room.
Yes.
And another one I think is actually scents. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the part of your brain that corresponds
No
to the
candles,
idea.
though.
Yeah.
No candles in the
No
dorms.
candles, but maybe sprays if they're not too overpowering. Maybe ask your roommate.
Yeah.
But, you know, the part of your brain that responds to scent is one of your strongest memories.
Okay.
So maybe
Yeah.
kind of try to find something that reminds you of home.
The other thing is too, like, I always bunked my bed.
Right.
So it forced me to like sit in a chair or like go sit somewhere else.
So you weren't always in
I wasn't
bed.
always in my bed. Like I couldn't lay, like I'd have to climb up the steps, like get in my bed, lay down, and then I'm like right on top of the ceiling. And I'm like, this is not very comfortable.
Right.
Like, why do I even want to sleep like this? But
Yes.
you know, it forced me to either be in a chair or be on ground level with people having a conversation or getting up and walking around.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one.
And I think just remember, everybody's nervous.
Yeah.
Like if you're nervous, the person next to you, behind you, in front of you, everybody nervous. Even the person that's the loudest.
Yes.
They just got nervous energy that they letting out, right? Everybody is nervous. So, and typically, if you go into a bigger college, everybody coming from somewhere, so you might be with the Jersey crew or you might wind up with the Illinois crew. Like people going to connect even from the state you may be from.
Right.
And that's how you develop friends. Again, it was mentioned different clubs and Greek organizations, but just be yourself, right? The more you're yourself, the more you're going to attract people that you never would think you'll become friends with, right? So just be yourself. When it comes to your roommate, have that conversation. What do you like? This is what I like. Do you have any allergies? That's a big thing to make sure, you know, if the person got allergies, you respect their allergies or medical needs. And also, you know, they really your first emergency person, right?
Yeah.
So something happened to you, you want them to be able to, you know, go to the RA, but also contact your family to say, you know, this will happen. They might be in the hospital, but also it's have the FERPA sign, right? Each college, if you want your family to have information about you, you got to sign this FERPA paper.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So that's important to sign. Not so much, I know you like, I don't want my family to, my parents or my guardians to know what's going on with my grades. All right, that's cool. But if something happened to you on a college campus, you are considered an adult. So we don't have to give that information to your family. So if you want to protect yourself, have the FERPA sign where, and there's certain things they can ask questions about or get information on, but make sure you sign it. It's only good for that year. So each year you got to do it over again. But I suggest looking into the FERPA and having some contact family members or people back home on that list.
That's great. Good recommendation for sure. I think one of the things you can do too, like to make friends, when you're answering a question, like in class, you can pepper in some things about your interests. I've done that a lot, and I have some good success with people coming up to me after class and be like, "Oh my goodness, you mentioned K-pop?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, what about it?"
Just in your math class, just slide in.
Yep. No
K-pop
no relation.
love. Right. Okay.
But I just think it's so important that
You
you're
have a personality.
able to
Show who
that
you are.
That you have. And that's one of the things that happens with friendships, right? You usually start on some commonality, and you really want to make sure that you don't feel so alone in college, because that's really defeating.
Yeah.
It really is.
One thing I tell our students all the time is college is your time of life to be really selfish. And I know that's kind of sometimes takes a negative tone, but it's really not, because if you think about a lot of students and during high school, they're living at home. Maybe home isn't the best place for them, right? Like, or they're working to help support family, or they're babysitting, just help support. You're on your own, fresh start. College is a time that you can really grow and be who you want to be, kind of become that adult, but it's your time. So like join that club, join the Greek organization, join, continue athletics. Like, this is your time to shine and really find out who you want to be as an adult, right? And so your roommate's not great. They're not the person you want to spend a lot of time with. Okay, right? Like, you can change that. Like, college is your time to be who you want to be without having a lot of additional stressors, right? Like, you want it to be.
Yes. And another thing I think are expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations are very high. But let's say in that first week you're sitting in a class and your professor, like one class that I took but I dropped, was an art appreciation class. And it would have been great if I was living there and not a commuter. But you had to go to a museum 2 times a week, which would have been cool, write about it. But I'm a commuter, like that just doesn't work for me. And that's also a lot, let's be honest. So you have a period, the add drop period, they call it, where you're able to actually drop classes from your schedule and then you're able to add ones to replace it. And maybe that perfect schedule that you had, it might be different, but it also might be the same. And I think that add drop period is very important to take advantage of early, because eventually what you move into is when you drop a class, I want to say maybe 2 months in, you're going to have to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're paying to go to these classes.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that they are working for you
Yep.
too. So I think you're right. You need to pull those calendars, and they're always on the student website. They're in your portal. They're in your app. You can talk to your advisor about that. But if you go to a class and you don't jive with that class, it's not what you want it to be, it's not going to be doable for you, drop it. This is not high school. Like, you don't have to go to social studies because it's listed as period 4, right? Like, you have, again, you're an adult. You have choice. You have the ability to do different things that you wouldn't have been able to do in the past. I would never take an 8 a.m. class. I don't come to work at 8 a.m. I can't do that. That's not right for me, right? I am a solid afternooner. So 10 a.m., I am my best. So that's when I'm going to start classes. That's not for everybody. Some people want to be done with class by noon, or you want to take all your classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you have Tuesday and Thursday to work or to do your schoolwork. You can do that. And this is your time again. This is your time to shine. And if home is not where you have the fondest of memories, then make this new place your home where you can have more positivity.
Yeah.
And I think the key, and I was going to bring this up, but you brought it up. Everybody don't live on campus.
That's right.
Some people commute. A lot more people are starting to commute to school, wherever school you go to. And I think that's key because now it's a different type of engagement you have to have with that campus.
Right.
Because if you live there on campus, it's a lot of things you can do. If you're a commuter, right, then you have to engage even more.
Yes.
Because the tendency, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because you was doing this. I'm only there for class and I'm out, right? I go up there, I go to class, I'm out, and you're not going to get all the benefits of that experience. So even if you have to work, again, planning on, all right, when I'm on campus, I'm up there an hour before, or I got a couple hours after class. Where am I going to go to engage the campus, right? It's always places on campus where you can go, hang out, sit, study, again, cultural centers, whatever is on campus. I think as a commuter, it's important for you to also plan on staying on campus an hour or two before or after so you can start being a part of that campus even more.
Absolutely. I think it's so important that you don't just treat, and yes, college is primarily to learn and take those classes, but don't treat it as just high school part two.
No.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It's just this vast spectrum of so many different things. During my commuting days, like what I would do was often spend a lot of time in the commuter lounge. And I look back and that was definitely great, but I had quite a bit of time to join a club.
Yeah.
In that I want to say maybe 5 hours that I would stay and I would just knock all my schoolwork out of the way. And that was definitely great. You want to spend that time on campus. You want to spend that time with the people you're meeting. Do the study groups with them. Get lunch, get dinner, get a snack. Like, you want to feel that social connection rather than just treat it like, I'm just here to learn and then I'm going to go right home. Because you're going to look back and you're going to be like, why did I pay so much money to take classes that I could have taken online? Because
Well,
that's
and
basically
college
what
is
it
so much more than class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're there to earn your education. You're there to get your degree, and please do that, obviously. But college is about where you find yourself and like where you grow and learn. And I mean, there's so much more to learn than what's in the classroom.
And we've talked a lot about clubs, and I think, if you ask anybody, you may have the statistics too with you, but I know they say typically join a club that interests you in your whatever major you may be in.
Yeah.
But then also join a club that just is something that you may not have any experience in, or something that just interests you outside of your major. I mean, if you look on these websites, like
They're
schools
wild.
have thousands of different
hammock
clubs.
You just lay in a hammock together.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
Why
outdoor
not?
club, you have all your cultural different clubs. Like everything is out there that you could think of. You could probably name one thing off the tip of your tongue and there's a club for it. So, and if there's not a club for it, I can almost guarantee if you go to student services and say, hey, I want to start this club on campus, they'll be like, great, you need this many people, you need this document signed, here's your club.
Start it. Yeah. So we've talked a lot about finding people with similar interests and people that you vibe with and but like college is also a melting pot, right? So you're going to be with a lot of people that don't have similar backgrounds or don't have similar cultural experiences. Like, how do you navigate that? And how, obviously we don't want to be judgmental and we don't want to have preconceived notions. So how do you kind of start with that on campus?
I came from a very rural town in the Midwest. My high school graduating class was probably 100 people. And so I went to a college in Chicago, which you can imagine brings in thousands of different people, but thousands of different people from all different backgrounds. And the first time I walked on campus, I was like, everyone's different than me.
Yeah.
So I had a very open mind when I walked in there because I didn't know what I was walking into. And then I started going into classes with people. I was in the athletics, so I played with a bunch of different people, but just like allowing people to talk about themselves and where they come from and who they are, like listening is a big thing. And just, I mean, you got to put every of your differences aside and just get to know people, like truly.
Yeah. I mean, my graduating class was 24 kids.
Okay, so you came from a lot smaller school than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you win.
So when I went to Temple, you're looking around and everybody is different.
Oh, yeah.
And it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. And when you're talking to people and they're coming from different countries, they've been living here for maybe 5 years, like you said, giving them that room to talk, you're going to have that room too to share your experiences. But learning like all these different paths that people have been through, I just think is so exciting. It's one of my favorite parts
and
about
I think
college.
it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you have to be
Yeah.
a little uncomfortable. And I will say, like, being uncomfortable that first semester of school is totally normal and totally fine. Like
Yes.
you kind of almost have to embrace it a little bit. But I will also say, like, being around people that were completely different from me set me up to be successful in, you know, after college. Like
Right.
I learned so much about everybody that's something that I think was one of my greatest takeaways from college that I got to experience.
I think you learn not to be very surprised
Yeah.
about
Yes.
what people have been through, who they are. Like when you just learn that diversity, like you're able to take everything. And that's so important to humanize people later on when you're working.
Right.
And even though I went to Lincoln University in PA, a historically black college, it's the same, right? Everybody different. Like
Yeah.
even though we might have the same level of melanin in our skin, everybody came from somewhere different, and
Yeah.
you still have to adjust. You still have to learn people. You still have to listen, right? Engage. Because if you don't, again, you're gonna feel lost. I think you mentioned the social connection is extremely important. So the more you can connect yourself to those on campus, that campus, the more successful you're going to be to get through your first semester.
And as a professor, you could probably talk about that too, like the differences that you see in conversation in your classes with, you know, the students that are in there. So do you think that, you know, everybody coming from something different brings a different perspective into the classroom?
Oh, absolutely. We all bring a different perspective, right? It can be, we can throw a topic out like this topic right here. We got multiple different
Yeah.
perspectives on how to navigate the first day, the first month, the first semester. So the thing is when you go in, be willing to be open to listen, right? Because we all come from, wherever you come from, that's the perspective that you have grown up with. Once you get on that campus, that's supposed to be a lab, a human lab where we develop, you know, our sense of who we going to become or who we are, engaging with other people who doing the same process.
Right.
And guess what? There's no formula to say how to do it. It might be a little messy. It might be, you know, a little bit uncomfortable. But the more we had a conversation, the more you get to listen to people, the more you can say, all right, I might not agree with you,
Right.
but I respect that you was able to allow me to have my say. I heard you, and what we gonna go eat?
What free food is there
That's it, what
today,
food-
right? Where do we go? So when we talk about those kinds of things and navigating and meeting new friends and all the differences, like if we get back to the practicality of navigating a college campus, right? So where do you get your textbooks? Why are they bajillions of dollars per textbook? How do you afford them? Like, where do you have a book bag? Do you have, you know what I mean? Like, it's all that little stuff too that I think you don't know, right? Like, you show up on campus and you don't want to, you know, not have the right things, but like, do you need a book bag?
I mean, you need something. You're
Right?
not going to walk around a
something.
campus
Yeah.
carrying books.
Yeah.
I will say, and we'll go back to the syllabus, typically
Yes.
your professor will put into the syllabus the required items for classes and then the optional items for classes. I think as a first-time student, again, we talked about the add drop period. I would probably go to class. This may be an unprofessional opinion, but I would probably go to class the first day, test out each one of your classes, and actually see if you need those textbooks.
I agree with you.
Because
Yes.
professors will be like, listen, I wrote the syllabus 3 months ago. We don't need these books.
But I wrote a book. You may want that book.
Or they'll say you need the book and then you never open it. And
Right.
so I think you should go test the waters, see what it's like. The first day of classes is typically, we're going to talk about the syllabus. We're going to talk about my campus hours. We're going to talk about what to expect in this class.
Yes.
And you're probably in and out before the hour time
Yeah.
frame, hour and a half time frame is over. So wait. And then once you know like what kind of books you need or materials you need, either go to the campus bookstore, see what's there.
Sometimes they rent textbooks.
You can run them.
You can buy used at the bookstore.
Do not buy new unless you absolutely have to have it.
And you want to keep it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, don't do that. Or if you have the ability, there's plenty of different online places that you can rent books from. Chegg is a big one. I think Amazon
does them, yeah.
You know, you can get those delivered directly to your dorm room. So I would just wait and see what the professor actually says, because what's in print and what actually might be needed is two separate things.
So really for that first day, you're going to want a book bag or something.
Book bag, probably a pen and some paper.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Pen, paper, if you want to bring
tablet,
your laptop.
whatever you're bringing.
Or right, notebooks.
Notebook.
Just if you're a planner person, start carrying your planner because you can use your syllabus and input those dates and things that are due. If you're an online planner person, bring whatever you do that with. But yeah, books are so expensive.
So a lot of schools go into what we call first day books, where a lot of times you got the platforms, whether it's Blackboard or one of the other platforms.
Moodle, yeah.
So a lot of times that book is already part of when you register for the class, right? Because a lot of books are now digital, just because costs, they're cheaper now. But if you a major like science, trying to go to medical route, you will have expensive books because those science books are a couple $100s, right?
And you need those books.
And you need those books, right? So again, I agree. Go to class first day. Professor going to say, we need this, we need that, you know, and sometimes a lot of professors now using what we call open source. So it's we using materials that everybody can use, and we just putting it together and online. Yes.
Well, and you talked about library services a bit too. I think there's some places in the libraries, if you need a textbook, they might have it there, or you could rent internally through other libraries as well. So that's a resource that's available.
So
absolutely.
Again, that means you got to go soon as that class is over and they say this is what you need. You go to the library,
right?
Find out what they have, and then if
copy
they don't
those
have
pages.
If they don't have it, then you go over there to the bookstore and get what you need.
Or you may have a roommate.
I was gonna say the other thing is the other people that you meet on campus, they might have taken Psych 101
2 years ago,
and hey, I need that Psych 101 book.
Right.
Here you go.
Exactly.
You know, you can borrow it and stuff like that. And the nice thing with textbooks, doesn't matter if you're renting, you're buying new, you're buying used. Typically, you can highlight in it if you need to, make notes in it. Probably help the next person behind you if you're renting it as well. So, even though you may not physically own it, you can still...
You got to hustle those textbooks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those things are crazy expensive.
To buy food for a few weeks, it's good. I would recommend with the people that you meet in class, you can actually share a PDF.
Yes.
You can use one person's Amazon login, for example. Share the login, and you can go half on your textbook. That's actually what I did for a few of my classes.
Yeah.
Where a book might be $120, well, we've now split that in half, so $60 each, right?
Right.
Yes, you're probably going to want to change your Amazon password after, but
that's okay.
It's better than spending $120.
Right. Absolutely.
As long as they don't order anything off your credit card, then you're good. So that would be a big recommendation of mine. You're going to want to find a PDF of it. You would actually be surprised at the amount of textbooks that are already there uploaded for free.
Well, then you can Control F.
Yep.
Control find, because if you're wanting to learn about one topic, or you have a study question about one specific topic, you Control find that keyword, and you're not just going through 90 pages of that textbook either.
By hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control
for sure.
F is a game changer.
It is a
once
game
you learn
changer.
it.
Yeah.
And I think too, like we talked about Amazon getting books. If you don't have an Amazon account, like I think they have it for students where it's like $4.99 a month or something like that.
It's so inexpensive.
It's worth it.
Which, as long as you have a student ID, you can use that. They let you have several years of that, which
You can get
I took
Spotify
full advantage. Yeah.
For a few dollars
There's so
off.
many discounts for students.
Yeah.
That's another thing that you can usually find on like a school website or an app or so. Kind of circling back to what Give Back does and who we are is that we really want to help you navigate this. So we've talked a lot today about different opportunities and where you find resources on campus, how you find friends, what you do those first few months. But really what we do is we start working with you immediately. It could be as early as the 9th grade, right? 8th graders. We want you to come in so that we can discuss all of these things with you, help you build these plans so that you are super confident when you step foot on campus and you're never alone, because there's always that give back coach to kind of help you guide you through that. So like Amada, if you would have had a give back coach starting in like the 9th grade, how do you think that would have changed those first couple months of school?
You guys ready for a monologue? I would have done so much different. First of all, I didn't know whether or not I was staying on campus until about 2 weeks away. And then I found out I was not staying on campus. So I would have figured that out early, would have changed my classes around. So rather than going in all 5 days a week, I would have probably went in 2 times a week or 3 times a week. Made that much easier on myself. I assumed that scholarships are just something handed to you when you graduate just based off your merit. No, you got to sign up for them. You got to do a little bit of work. So I would have been filling out scholarships with my give back coach. And another thing, to be frank, probably would have been able to decide whether or not Temple was the right option for me. You know, Temple has a great culture, but was I really in a position where I was ready to go out of state? No, I wasn't, in all honesty. And I probably, with that give back coach, would have been able to address some of my mental health issues too, where going into that first year, that first semester was hard.
And it should be. Let's be real. Like, that first semester is hard for anybody from the very best of circumstances. You know, everything lines up perfectly. Yeah. But if you had a coach to really guide you through that, you knew it was going to be hard, right?
Yes.
Like, they were giving it to you straight. Maybe it wouldn't have been so.
I think that's exactly right. Yeah. Because my expectations were crazy high.
Right.
And then I get there, and first week, I'm just depressed.
Yeah.
Just depressed. And, like, it should be a hard time because you're challenging yourself.
Absolutely.
You know yourself to a good extent, but you're still learning who you are. Like, who I was at 18, I knew myself pretty well. But the person that I am now at 23, I look back on 18 and I say, yeah, you were a complete person, you were whole, but you've grown from that.
Right.
I just think it would have been great to have a little bit of a better handle on those expectations. And I think with somebody who had been through the process, or at least was knowledgeable in the process, that would have really, really helped me.
So that's what we're here for. I mean, that's why we were starting this podcast. Here we are, episode 1. We're going to continue to do this. We're super excited about it because I think we do need people. We need these give back coaches. So drop us a question. Like, you know, go on our website, look us up. Like, we're here to help you. We're here to guide you through that process because it is not easy. And we know that. And that's why we do what we do, right? Is to help students across the country navigate the obstacles that come with transitions and post-secondary and all of that it comes with. So thank you all for taking this time to kind of go through it. Yeah. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah.
Our coaches at Give Something Back are here as a resource to help guide you through your college journey. To contact us with any questions you might have or to apply to a Give Something Back program, go to giveback.ngo and fill out the form at the bottom of our homepage. Additionally, you could DM us through Instagram or through Facebook, or you could email us at info@giveback.ngo. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll see you next time.